What's good, my people? Welcome into Buckets, Action Network's daily NBA betting podcast. We're in the workshop Wednesday playoff NBA slate. I got two of my great fellas, the sharpest minds out. And if we're talking the Miami Heat, you know Bryan Fonseca is going to find a mic somewhere, and he wants to talk about it. BF is with me, and of course, my dog, the big dog, Brandon Anderson. He's out of we pulled him out of the futures depths. He's going to talk just tomorrow. We got him nailed down. You know how we do. We give the play, we get the cap, we get you guys out of here recording this live from our home Tommy John studios. All right, we got three games. Orlando still in Boston. Numbers 12.5 in favor of the Celtics. Money lines minus 750. Totals 199. That jumps off the screen, seeing sub 200. Next game, Miami Heat are in Cleveland. 7:30 Eastern. Cavs minus 12. Money line minus 700. Total 212.5. Golden State Warriors in Houston to wrap up the night. Rockets are the favorite here. Minus 3. Money lines minus 158. Total 203.5. I peeled those all from FanDuel as we record this on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. All right, Bryan Fonseca, give me your best bets for the Wednesday playoff NBA slate.
Jared Allen over 10.5 rebounds against the Miami Heat. And for the Miami Heat, Tyler Herro over 2.5 threes at plus money.
Brandon Anderson, rattle them off, baby.
Yeah, I got five today. Let's start with the Magic. I'm taking the mine shaft on the team total under 93.5 Magic points, and I'll give you some alts when we get there. And then from the Heat game, give me the Heat money line, plus 500, just a sprinkle there. And Davion, not Donovan Mitchell, Davion over 6.5 assists. That one's plus 120. And then in the nightcap, give me the under on Draymond rebounds, minus 115 on 6.5, and then under Freddie VanVleet points. We get that one in game one. We're going back to the well, under 14.5 points for Freddie VanVleet.
Hey man, there's been stretches where Davion Mitchell's looked like Donovan Mitchell. So I can't hold you if you confuse those guys here for a couple minutes. I'm gonna go Rockets minus 2.5. In the market at DraftKings right now, as we record this Tuesday afternoon, I would still take minus 3, but I've booked Rockets minus 2.5 as we record this. All right, boys, let's jump right into it. Two games with double-digit spreads, and then we have a tighter game in the Rockets hosting the Golden State Warriors. I'm coming straight to you, Fonseca. Let's jump into that Heat Cavs game. Talk to me about why you're looking at Jared Allen over 10.5 boards, and then we'll talk about Tyler Herro over 2.5 triples.
So Khalil Ware looked like shit in game one. And I think that was very helpful to sort of looking at this. Khalil Ware, maybe he turns it around, but even so, it feels like Evan Mobley is going to be pulled away a little bit. Like he's doing some switching. He's out on the perimeter a little bit. He's not in position to get the rebounds as well as Jared Allen will be. Jared Allen will be in the paint more often. He will miss some shots. And I don't know how much Khalil Ware we're going to see. Like, I could see this being a scenario where maybe he turns it around, but even if he does, I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. And there's a world where Eric Spoelstra gives him an even quicker hook because he's a rookie. And if he struggles out the gate, you might not play him 19 plus minutes as you did last time. It might just be 14. So this favors Jared Allen, who actually got 11 rebounds in game one, and nobody else in the entire game got double digits. This feels like a Jared Allen rebound series. Like he should be able to be the rebounds leader. Bam is very good. He's not an exceptional rebounder. And part of it is because he has to cover for everyone else's shit on the perimeter. So he's not in a position to get a lot of these rebounds, which if Khalil Ware's not going to be on the floor, it leaves Jared Allen in a position where he has to out rebound Alec Burks, Davion Mitchell, Tyler Herro, as opposed to, Khalil Ware or Bam Adebayo. So he gets enough of those. I think we should be good here. And then the Tyler Herro piece, 2.5 threes is low. He gets this over generally. Last game, it was actually surprising that he only shot 6 threes. I think this game, I'd be surprised to see him, below 8, 9, 10, perhaps. this feels like a game that Miami will shoot more threes if they're able to generate them, and they will try to because I mean, what else does Eric Spoelstra like? What other card does he have? This isn't a Jimmy Butler led Heat team. It's a very different team, and they're not that good. They're not awful. Like I didn't think they were 10 seed bad, but they're not better than a 7 or 8. You know what I mean? Truly. And really a big part of it is they're just playing a better rotation now. And Tyler Hero has to do everything on offense, which is why their offense could get a little shaky at times. So I would expect him. I don't even know if he's going to be efficient from three, but 3 for 9 is still over. And if I think he's going to take 8, 9, 10 attempts from three, yeah, 3 is too low, especially at plus money. I think that's something that he should take.
To go back to Jared Allen, he accounted for 20% of the boards picked up in that game one, had 11. Evan Mobley only had 7. Because that's the first thing that I always think of, right? But like, what about Evan Mobley? What about Bam? How this distribution of Jared Allen focusing on the glass and cleaning it up could be a worry. But if you go back and look at game one, that was his focus. He was on the glass. So I'm not gonna, he's always going to be engaged. That's one guy on the glass that's always going to be engaged, always going to be around the hoop. To get to Tyler Hero, BA, before we hopped on and we were going through and I was locking in the recap for everybody, just jotting down picks, you said that feels like a low number for Tyler. Tell me why.
Yeah, it just seems to me that when you're the Heat and you know you're outmanned in the series, and Eric Spoelstra knows that better than anyone. There's no Jimmy Butler anymore. You're the 8 seed. You were the 10 seed. They know what they are. What do? We've seen Spo as the big underdog before crank up the variance, and the easiest way in the modern NBA, especially to crank up the variance, is just start jacking threes. Tyler's going to have the ball a lot. Get some threes up. Get Duncan Robinson to get some more threes up. Just get some threes up there. We know that the Cavs are going to shoot threes. They shot very well in game one. Their guards, all 3 of the guards scored plenty. So I think if you're going to try to steal a game or contend at all in the series, you're going to have to, cranking the variance means, okay, well, now we tried more threes and we missed more threes. Now we lost by 25. Spo don't care about that. Like they're happy to lose by whatever. You got to try to go get the win. And the Cavs are a lot better team. They're the number 1 offense in the league. If you want to match their one offense, especially as well as they played in game one, you got to hit some threes. So, yeah, I was surprised to hear the Hero line is that low. I looked at him before the series for series leader. There was a lineup for 6 or more threes in any game at like plus 280 that I looked at just on, all right, when you're going to get like either the Heat are playing well because they're scoring, or the Heat are not playing well and they're way behind. So what are you going to do? Shoot some threes. Like it's kind of like a foolproof sort of spot for the underdog here, I feel like.
Yeah, they scored 100 points in game one. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, BA, here that the directive from Spo is going to be get the attempts up, play the math problem, and let's see if we can hang in around the best offense in the NBA because Cleveland is just relentless on that end. And if you're going to keep up with them, you're going to have to get close to pushing that math problem number, and that starts with their best shooter from the perimeter getting up enough attempts. Tyler Hero was 7 of 18 in game one. He only took 6 threes. Wiggins took 6. Alec Burks took 3. Now, I would not be shocked if Alec Burke hit a couple threes also in this game. He potentially could get a few more minutes. Davion Mitchell took 3 attempts only. So I agree, guys. I think the volume on a lot of these guys for Miami is going to get ramped up from deep. I think there's a couple of guys you could look at for an over prop. As I mentioned, Burks, Davion Mitchell should get some attempts. We'll talk about Davion here in a bit. But yeah, I agree. The volume should ramp up. Similarly to what Bickerstaff told Cade, forget about passing it, brother. Go score. That's what we need you to do. He didn't have an assist until sub 5 minutes left in the third quarter against the Knicks. I've never seen that from Cade. It was all offense. He was cleaning up the glass and getting downhill on offense, and he was killing the Knicks. That was the directive clearly from Bickerstaff. I think it's something similar here with Spo. It's like, hey, we got to try to keep up with these guys. And I think that's an interesting point you bring up, BA, that not a lot of people talk about. I think you're right. Spo could care less if they lose by 30 or 3. They want to try to win, and I think that's the path, is trying to get up some more volume from beyond the arc. All right. BA, let's get to your slew of picks. We got a couple ladders, we got a couple props, we got a money line in there. Whatever you want to start, big dog. You jump in and we'll follow your lead.
Well, let's start with the Heat stuff since we're already talking Heat here. Heat off the top. So Davion Mitchell, I think one more thing that Spo could try. I haven't seen at some books Davion Mitchell lines even up. I'm wondering if books are wondering the same thing as I am, which is could they start Davion Mitchell? I'm not sure that necessarily changes the cap a whole lot here because he's basically playing starter minutes off the bench already. He played 34 minutes in game one. He averaged 36 and a half minutes in the two play-in games. That's starter. I don't really care where like you're finishing. You're coming off the bench. You're playing starter minutes. He had 9 assists in game one, and I gotta be honest, I haven't paid a lot of attention to the Heat down the stretch. I was like, 9 assists. Where'd that come from? Came from the last month of Davion Mitchell. Like this is actually not so out of the norm for him. He had 9 assists in one of the playing games, 5 in the other one, and over the last 12 regular season games to end the season, the Heat were actually number one in net rating during that stretch. Mitchell averaged 6.6 assists a game in that stretch, too, just under 33 minutes a game. And obviously, those minutes are kind of ticking up now. So, counting the postseason, he's now 6 assists or above, 11 of the last 14. Now, we need 7, but 6 in almost every game tells me that's a pretty good floor here. We're getting the minutes, we're getting some potential assists. And in game one, Davion had 20 potential assists. That's second highest of any player in the NBA in game one. I did not expect that, but I don't know that the books expected or caught up with it either. So I think we're getting a little bit of value. Plus money, it's plus 120 to go over 6.5. I'll say this too. Check your book for series leader on assists with Davion Mitchell. Look around a little bit because some books have Davion Mitchell like minus 200, minus 250, which is what he should be. The next highest was Garland with 5 in game one. So he's a clear leader, led in potentials. He should be that. There's a major book out there that does not even have odds for Davion Mitchell at all. He's not on the board at all. So is that because like something shady is happening? Is that because he is like 50 to 1 and they're just not throwing him on there? I'm just saying, take a look. This is not the guy we expected. Maybe there's too many D Mitchells in the series and we can only have one on the series leader. I don't know what's happening, but I like him for assists in this game. As far as the Heat money line, look, I'm just going to close my eyes and throw a dart at Spo as a big underdog. That's the cap. Cavs A game, I thought in game one, they hit everything. The guards were great. Ty Jerome was awesome off the bench. Mitchell was great. Garland was great. I thought the Heat played a C game. I don't think the Heat were anything particularly great in game one, and it was still a single-digit game into the fourth quarter. Even though they didn't crank the variance up, even though they didn't even play that great of a game, they still, never were super competitive, but they never really got blown out. It was not to me like those other two Sunday games. Spoelstra as a seed underdog in the playoffs, 55 and 42 against the spread. Well, it's great, but not super helpful here if I'm taking the money line. Now we're just like in the single digits range. Can they finish the job? Well, as a road dog, in 57 games from our Bet Labs, Eric Spoelstra has a 25% ROI on the money line. As a road underdog of 6 or more points, he is 10 and 11 straight up, nearly 500 as a 6+ point road underdog with an ROI of, are you ready for this? 122%. Yeah, Spo's a pretty good coach, so I'm just gonna take Spo. Brian, I have a question for you. 2 questions.
Yes.
So the Heat last 12 games of the regular season were the number 1 team in net rating. What the heck? And part 2, why is the offense lately, I think in game one and in both playing games, so much better in the first half and then so stagnant in the second half? And can the Heat actually close out a game, or is this just what they've been all year?
Well, they've blown the most fourth quarter leads in the NBA this year.
Right.
They've blown the most double-digit fourth quarter leads as well, and probably double-digit leads just in general. They just, for whatever reason, their offense gets going early on, and then you get to the point where it's like, all right, Tyler Herro, now you have to go get a bucket because Bam does everything else. And when it becomes that, other teams that they run into just have more optionality. And Andrew Wiggins, you just don't know where he is. Like I agree with your point about them playing a C game, although I think the Cavs could finish the series in 5. Bam and Davion Mitchell were probably the only Heat players that you could say played well in game one. That's it. And to your other point about just, or going back to the point about the leads, they've been a team, like I've been playing this bet repeatedly on buckets where it's like Heat first half, other team to win, and it's hit several times. It just has. I even tried it into play it, and the Bulls couldn't quite get it going at the end there. I think you had another question. What was the other question?
I'm just wondering. So they were number one in the NBA in net rating the last 12 games of the season. Obviously, like the last 12 games, we all know without getting into it, there's a lot of garbage teams in there and a lot of tanking and whatever. You're still number one. Like you're still number one for a team that finished the 10 seed. That like as you followed more game to game than I did, which was not at all for the Miami Heat in that stretch. Like, what's happening? Is that just like, oh yeah, like the guys were hitting every three for a while, or like was it a really soft schedule? Number one in net rating for 12 games, that's like still a sixth of the season. That's not nothing.
It's a combination of things, but a lot of it is just when you look at the schedule, like they have a few road games, a bunch of road games during that stretch, but Philly is one of them who's playing nobody at the time. Washington's another. Boston sat some guys when they played each other and they
Yeah.
won that game. And then there's a game in there where they beat the Pelicans by 50 points, scoring 153 points,
Well,
which
that'll help.
I think messes up the math a lot.
Yeah.
Like especially in a 10 game sample versus an 82 game sample. I really think it's just that. And looking through it, like their offense did look better. They were doing some things better, and it looked like guys were getting used to each other because the just putting in Davion Mitchell into the lineup and Andrew Wiggins, who's already missed some time due to injury before this, like they looked better during that stretch, but also I think a lot of it was competition. And I was a skeptic because I'm watching them play competitively with the Milwaukee Bucks and Damian Lillard is not playing, for example, or, beating the Pelicans by 50, as I mentioned, and all these different things. But they're not they're not a very like awesome team or whatever the case may be. Like they're a mid-tier team. They are what they
Yeah.
are. And I think Cleveland should win this series in 5 games and no more than 5 games. I think anything if this goes to 6, then I'm looking at Cleveland a little bit sideways.
And let's not forget, they lost 10 straight prior to that. They were getting dusted off
Yeah.
for about 2.5 weeks before that. So I think to keep it short, I think the Miami Heat situation is extremely stale. And I think they've been skating with a lot of Jimmy Butler a lot of Jimmy putting that entire franchise on his back and making runs. And it's been covering up for very poor regular seasons and a lot of holes in that team and roster. And we've been patching it up with Jimmy Butler and screaming Heat culture. And then they play a little bit of competitive early in the playoffs outside of the two major runs from Jimmy. And then we just say Spo's a really good coach, so he's going to do it. I don't see any route to them getting a W in game 2 in Cleveland. Just offensively, I don't think they're going to have enough to keep up, especially when it just seems like Cleveland turns it on when they want to, especially down the stretch. And that's a bad combo for a team in Miami that can't close because Cleveland can close. To go
This
back to Dave, go
real
ahead,
quick.
BF.
This is why their fans are kind of pissed off that they won in the play-in because well, some of them because they had a chance at getting the 11th pick and the 18th pick, and obviously a chance at the 11 is a chance at getting 1 through 4, 1 through 5, or
Sure.
whatever it is. But they won, so that pick gets rolled over. So they don't have a lottery pick anymore, and now they have Golden State's pick, and they lost the coin toss, so they're gonna have the 20th overall pick, despite trading Jimmy and all those different things. Like that's the pick that they got in return.
Yeah, and but another thing we talked about before we hopped on, Fonseca said, yeah, and then that Tyler Herro contract is coming up. What are you going to do with that? Is that an auto max? Is that the right decision? There's a lot of things going on in Miami that I think are getting patched up with cool Pat Riley shots of him and Alonzo Mourning in the stands hanging out, and it's not actually about what's been going on the floor for quite a while now, for being honest. To go back to Davion Mitchell, I don't. We didn't touch on 20 potential assists enough. The guy is playing out of his mind. He went from a guy that couldn't shoot, couldn't create, and was only defense to a guy the last month has been shooting it really well and has been creating. And if you look at the potential assists is at 20, the secondary assists 1. So when he gives it up, somebody's putting it up and somebody's getting a good look. It stops there. He's not creating to then someone else create. He's creating and someone's getting a look. I like the Davion Mitchell play a lot. I think this is going to be one of those spots where Spo's just like, hey, brother, here's 40 minutes. You've been playing your ass off. Continue to try to do that, and let's try to steal a win here in Cleveland. I think Davion Mitchell is a really good look, especially on that assist prop.
Also,
All right.
restricted free agent this summer. Davion.
Very restricted. He's going to be on the phone with everybody, and Pat Riley and those guys are going to be in a tough spot to have to potentially match a big number because he's been awesome down the stretch. He's just one of those guys. When I watch him, I'm like, yeah, I want that dude on my team, flat out. That's it. Like, he brings it every single night, does the small things, does a lot of different things. And if we're getting duped by a small sample size, that happens sometimes. But you're going to have to pay a little extra, I think, if you want Davion Mitchell on your roster come next fall. All right, let's talk about Orlando here and the Boston Celtics. BA, you're on the Magic team total that is at 93.5. No faith, and we potentially have a couple ladders here. Talk to me about this team total.
Yeah, so you mentioned at the top that the total for the game is under 200. Undaunted, I am. I'm going lower than that. Give me the Magic team total under. We said this before the series. This is not real rocket science. I just don't know how Orlando is going to score in the series. And game one made me feel even stronger about that. Paolo has a great game, 36-11 on 27 shots. Orlando equals Boston on threes in the first half. They finished with 86 points. Despite that, Franz scored 23 on 24 shots. That's not great. Nobody else on the team gets more than 7 points. It was an 87 pace, I think lowest of any game, or at least close in that range. The Magic had 15 turnovers. That's not going to go well. Turnover means no shot. We need shots for the Magic to score points. And though they equaled Boston in the first half on threes, second half they were 3 of 9 on threes. Boston was 9 of 21. You can't have Boston having equal number of makes to your number of attempts. That's going to be a loss every time. So I just don't know where the points come from. A lot of the trends, team agnostic stuff, like Boston here. Just back the 2 seed, the big favorite, get them over the line. I have the Celtics trend about fading them after the big win, and I'm not really positive we're past that yet. So I'm staying away from a side here. But to me, this is like my proxy for just like, yeah, Boston's going to win. And we said before the series, a good proxy for Boston to win is Orlando just couldn't score enough. So not counting game 82 when the Magic sat guys, their last 6 losses, they're averaging 94.7 points a game. So we're already in a range here. There's an 82, 87, 92 in there, 3 unders, plus the 86 in game 1, counting that one. So under in 4 of those 6 losses. From the regular season, Magic had 17 games at 93 or below. That's 43% of their losses. So nearly half of their losses, they're basically at this number and below. And last year, in the playoffs on the road, they could not score. Remember that awful series against Cleveland was all home and away. And on the road, they scored 83, 86, 94, and a rare 103. They averaged 91.5 on the road. So there's a lot of numbers here that tell us the Magic can't score on the road. In game 1, they hit 31 in the second quarter. The other 3 quarters, 18, 18, and 19. If you max out at 19 and a quarter, let me help you with the math. That's 76 points, most that you can get if you do that over 4 quarters. So if we can just avoid one of those explosion quarters, under 93.5 should be good. And then here's the escalator, the de-escalator, the mine shaft, trademark Matt Moore. Under 88.5 points is 2-1. Under 82.5 points, plus 450. And I doubt we're going to get here, but you just never know with the Magic shooters. The lowest number I can find, under 74.5 Magic points. Give me some 90s ball. 11-1. Just that's like a tenth of a unit.
No, not even 90s ball. That's Providence. That's Providence, Marquette. Somewhere.
That's true. That's
what
March
that
ball
is.
right there.
That's March ball for sure. All right, really quick. We mentioned at the top of the show that we're coming to you from our Tommy John home studios, and that's because great games start with great underwear, and Tommy John makes the greatest. I tell you guys this all the time. I'm actually wearing Tommy John draws right now. They are legitimate, comfortable, stretchy, breathable. I got pajamas, shirts, all of it. Super comfy material. I love the stuff that I have. Remember, when you're truly comfortable, you do everything better, and that includes betting. So if you love the Buckets podcast, if you love this crew, you'll love Tommy John. Get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/buckets. That's 25% off at TommyJohn.com/buckets. All right. I agree with everything he said, Fonseca. I don't. There's not really too much to dissect there. To play a little devil's advocate, and I'll give it to you. We've known over the years, Celtics, man, we're gonna smoke. This team has no business being in the gym with us, and they let go of the rope. And next thing you know, it's the fourth quarter, and it's 90-90. And we've known the Boston Celtics to do that. There is no buckets. Cole Anthony would have to go ballistic. Anthony Black. I mean, there's just nobody on Orlando that can score. And then, I mean, Brandon laid it out. Paolo has a big game. Like, that's what we've been asking of Paolo. Hey, Paolo, take it to the next level in the playoffs. Show up in a big game, score 30 plus, and take the offensive load. He did that. They don't break 90. Fonseca, what do you think?
They've had one game, I just checked, one game this year where they didn't break 80 points. And it was against Portland. They scored 79 points. It shocked me that it was against Portland.
Yeah.
So look, it's playoff basketball. Everyone's playing slower now. Statistically, everybody. It's possible because if you look at the shot distribution from last game, Paolo Banchero, 27 field goal attempts. Franz Wagner at 24. Wendell Carter was next. He had 6. So it's like, where is the offense coming from? Like,
I'm gonna put us in the rotation. We get some shots up.
I can't
no problem getting them up.
I can't believe Cole Anthony was at 3, but he also only played 10 minutes. I actually think in order to generate some offense, like you're gonna need more Cole Anthony. And I like Cole Anthony, but if your season is on the line and you're like, you know what we need? We need Cole Anthony. Then it's like, what are we really talking about here? So I love the unders just because where is the offense coming from? Like you talked about Paolo having a great game, and I think he might have to average 30 in this series, but even so, like there are going to be a lot of graphics where you're watching the first half and it's going to be like Paolo 18 points, the rest of the team 18 points, and Paolo will be shooting like 8 of 14 and the rest of the team will be like 8 of 20 something. Like that's just what it's going to be in this series with respect to Franz Wagner. But Kentavious Caldwell-Pope can't be out there shooting just 5 times in 30 something minutes, except he kind of does that. Like he doesn't shoot a ton. So I have a lot of questions about where the offense is coming from, not to mention that Boston is good defensively. So there's that element of it too. And Orlando's another team. We talked about Miami needing variance. Orlando's going to need some shooting variance. Taking 27 threes, especially against Boston, is not going to get it done. And that's 1/3, exactly 1/3 of the shots they took last time out were from 3. That's not enough. Like to have a chance against Boston with no offense, maybe half your shots need to come from 3, maybe more.
Yeah, and that was Paolo knocking him down.
I got a couple of futures questions. Can I jump in with a couple of futures questions for you guys? All right, question number 1. We're talking Magic and Heat here. The 7 and 8 seeds escape out of the play-in. I want to know what you guys think. Whose season lasts longer? Right now, we're going into game 2. They're both on the same day. Who goes to Cancun last? The Magic or the Heat? Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, last game to tip. whoever tips later, I think it's a really good chance that both of these squads get swept. But I would have to go to the default and go to Miami just because they have a couple more dynamic players and could scheme up and give Cleveland a little bit more trouble, especially when they get back to their building. This is a awful matchup for the Orlando Magic. Just they have no leverage, any speck of leverage anywhere. So I'll say the Miami Heat.
I'll say Miami also because from a literal standpoint, Orlando and Boston, their games are always the day before. But also I do think Miami has a better chance of getting a game And in fact, I expect them to get a game against Cleveland, just one. And I think they have a better chance at getting two in the event that Orlando also gets one,
Yeah.
just because of how differently Orlando would have to play. So I think Miami has an easier pathway to getting a win.
I still think we get to game 5 on both series, but we'll see. More
I-
importantly, here's the thing I really want to know. Like 10 minutes before we jumped on the recording, I don't remember who was reporting it on Twitter. Somebody reporting that Jason Tatum injured his wrist a little bit toward the end of game 1. He's listed as day to day going forward. So here's where we're at. Jaylen Brown's taking shots in his knee and clearly is not looking as explosive looking right. Doesn't have a left hand anyways. We're running out of limbs here. Kristaps Porzingis, never healthy ever. Is healthy right now, but kind of invisible in game 1. Has not had a run, I think, longer than 5 games in the playoffs ever in his career. Jason Tatum, now with a wrist injury. Game 1 of the playoffs. It's a 2-month marathon here. Nobody thinks the Magic or the Heat are doing anything important here. Boston is a title favorite. That's 3 dudes. That's ostensibly your 3 best players if you still haven't noticed Derek White in your life yet. It's not great. That the start of the marathon, you're in mile 1 and 3 of your guys are already injured. Should we be concerned on Boston futures right now? What do you guys think?
I was concerned when I heard the Jaylen Brown news. Everyone's just glossing. Yeah, we'll just shoot him up and for a couple months. It'll be fine. We'll take care of it later. And it was like, I mean, I don't know about that. And I'm on wax a couple different spots. I picked Cavs Thunder in the finals. So I like the Cavs regardless. If they're going to be banged up, I don't know how much that Tatum wrist. I mean, look, I don't want to just. I'm not a doctor. I haven't looked at the wrist. I don't know anything about it. I haven't seen any reports. But the fall didn't look that bad initially. He stayed down for a little bit, got up, still stayed in the game, wiggled it around a bit. But I'm more concerned about Jaylen Brown and that aspect because they're going to need both of those guys for balance offensively for them to win the title and beat Cleveland, especially with Cleveland having home court advantage. So, yeah, I'm a bit worried. I was worried with them healthy. I'm definitely worried with them banged up.
Against the Cavs, I'm worried. But I was regardless because I think Cleveland is legitimate. Against the Knicks or Pistons, which I think will be the Knicks. I don't know to what degree. Like if the series was beginning now, I'd be like, they'll figure it out. If this gets worse throughout the Magic series and Tatum misses a game, not because it's like, it's Orlando, I could just rest my wrist for this one or whatever. Like if this gets a little bit worse for multiple players, then I'm gonna be thinking about, okay, like how does this look? But then again, on the Knicks side, Jalen Brunson is toughing out an ankle injury. And, there's that element. Detroit's obviously been shorthanded because Jaden Ivey, and we don't expect to see him again. I just don't know to what level it has to get to. Now, the Cavs series, though, if Boston's banged up going into that Cleveland series, that one for me is going to mean a lot. For the semifinals, it depends because they've had the Knicks number all year, and I don't think the Pistons are ready to win multiple playoff series yet.
Jaylen Brown's. Go ahead, Bia.
I think it's a real concern because we see, especially if you just think over the last 5 years or so, how many great contending playoff championship level teams aren't anymore because that injury hit. And we forget and we write them off. And we're like, okay, it didn't happen anymore. But to have this in game 1, I think of several of the Warriors runs that came up short where the Warriors screwed around a little bit in round 1. Steph suddenly rolls an ankle and now is not quite Steph again for a couple of rounds. And now what happens? Now it's not just Tatum's wrist is bad. How will he do? First of all, it's not going to get any better till after the season. Whatever the injury is, it's not healing. There's no time for that. So, okay, maybe the wrist cost them a 4 of 19 Tatum game against the Magic. So now there's a game 5 because there's a bad Tatum game. All right, what happened in that game? Well, Kristaps Porzingis rolled his ankle in that game a little bit. So now in next round, Al Horford's got to play a little extra minutes for a while. Okay, Al's pretty old. So now Al is taking some extra mileage. And Jaylen Brown, that knee's not going to get any better or any rest. And now the Knicks series lasts an extra game or two. And now Jaylen Brown's knee has taken an extra game or two of mileage. Like, there's only one direction this stuff all goes, unless they just, that could be not true. It could be they sweep the Magic anyway. Knicks Pistons go 7. You get a week of rest. Now maybe Tatum's wrist does get better. That's the way out here, and they know that path too. But generally speaking, once this stuff starts, once the ball starts rolling down the hill, there's not a lot of way out of it. And the whole point of the Celtics is how awesome their starting five is. I'll give them a top 6, top 7 at 6 man of the year night to night. Peyton Pritchard probably will be the guy. Al Horford as the 6th. Well, if 3 of the 7 are not themselves anymore, there's not depth behind it. Like, let's be real about Luke Cornett and Sam Hauser. There's a reason those guys are like looking great for 10 minutes. They're not ready to ramp up in any serious playoff stretch here. So I'm not panicking about Boston, but I will say I was looking for a spot this series. I thought Orlando would get a game or two coming in, and I was looking for a spot if Orlando got game 1. If Orlando took a 2-1 lead, where can I buy low on Boston? As low as I can. Where can I buy a future? I don't think I want to buy futures on Boston right now. I'm not panic selling, but I don't think you want to buy with all these injuries. And I think that's a huge storyline right now.
The way out is that's why you beat up on these first round squads. Get the sweep, go get the rest, go get the treatment. Limit the additional games you have to play going into the finals. Even last year, even though they beat up on the Pacers, they didn't give up those games that they could have easily, and they were able to get to the finals extra rested. Meanwhile, Luka and those boys were going through it with Minnesota. All right, close it out. Jaylen Brown said, they the Magic, but they know who really got the magic over here. No Harry Potter. I would rank that number 1. I know I'm mic'd up and I'm planning. He probably wrote that last week. And he's like, I can't wait till I'm mic'd up so I can say this shit pregame and they could cut it and put it on TV. BF, what'd you think of that?
It was tough. It was real tough. I heard it and I was like, I heard it and I got mad. I was
No
like,
Harry Potter.
There's no way he said that shit.
It's a real left-handed compliment by Jaylen Brown.
It's just so stupid. He was smiling too as he delivered it. Also,
oh, dude, he was like, "I'm mic'd up. I can't wait to say this." And it was,
I like when guys are actually interesting when they're mic'd up. But the problem is, I think a lot of them are, and they don't give us the interesting shit when they're mic'd up because then you get what happened with Anthony Edwards. You know what I mean? Where he's telling a fan, I ain't gonna repeat that. I know we could curse, but that one I'm probably not gonna do
it. yeah. You get a little too raw.
Yeah. Literally. 50 grand for that. I just think I wish that they would give us more of the real authentic stuff that we have to constantly search online for. But I mean, Jaylen Brown, like, come on, bro.
Yeah, it was funny. I thought it was. I got a chuckle out of it just because I know he was at the crib somewhere at the kitchen table, like, yeah, this is gonna kill him. I'm gonna say this in the pregame. So I thought that was funny.
Not even like the Magic could come back and do anything about it because they as we established, they have no offense. They can't win the game. You can't even win the game and be like, oh, haha, Jaylen Brown, you look stupid now. It's like, no, they actually played better from that.
We got the Magic. They the Magic, but we got it. Oh, that's funny. All right, let's go to the marquee matchup of the evening. Rockets hosting the Golden State Warriors, 2.5, 3. I like both. I'm going to get into my cat BA, and then we'll talk about some props. Listen, there was a lot of things I liked about the Rockets in game 1, even though they took the loss, but I'm going to focus on these two. They absolutely obliterated the Warriors on the glass. We knew that was coming, but 22 offensive rebounds to 6, 52 total rebounds to 36, obliterated. I don't even know, does it justice. They destroyed them on the glass, and I believe that will continue. There is no real counter that the Warriors could put in play that is going to be able to help them on the glass. I think that's massive for Houston. They didn't allow, number 2, they didn't allow Steph and Jimmy to live at the free throw line. I know they lost. Still massive. got to the line a total of 8 times. Steph only shot 2 free throws. He shot 13 versus Memphis in the play-in game. And then we got to talk about the shooting. Well, I'm going to call it variance in game 1. It's staggering. Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet. Obviously, Golden State defensively is very good. And Kerr even said it, speaking of mic'd up, they can't score on us unless we give the ball up and turn it over. Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet were 7 of 34 from the floor. So I just can't fathom that happening again. They'll shoot it even a little better. Jalen Green gets in these modes where when things are going really well, he continues to just stack it up and pile it on. And then when things don't, he just goes into the abyss and has a ridiculous shooting game like he did the other night, like 3 of 15, I believe, 3 of 16, something around that number. So I like them to have a bounce back shooting evening. Alperen Şengün was unbelievable. I think that continues because I think the bigs down there for Golden State just don't have any answer. They don't even have any. Alperen's going to continue to offensively make an impact. And it seemed like he wasn't nervous for the playoffs and was just ready to go and got straight to his game. I love to see that from Alperen Şengün. So I think that continues. And I think Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet shoot a lot better. Let's talk about Steph Curry. Yes, it was a Steph Curry clinic. I get it. But the shot making, like, stop. Come on. I want to say it can't continue because we know it can, but these are very difficult shots he was knocking down. Steph was 5 of 9 from deep. 3 of the 5 were absurd. If you go to NBA.com and go look at his shooting chart or his made threes, they only classify 2 of them as jump shots. Of the 5 threes, listen to what they classify these as. Steph Curry, running pull-up jump shot, 27 feet. Second one was a jump shot. Fadeaway jump shot from 24 feet. Step back jump shot, 26 feet. Jump shot from 34 feet away. So these threes were absurd from Steph. I'm never going to say Steph can't do that again. But if they could catch a little bit of variance here in a couple breaks, continue to make it very difficult on Steph, because they did make it very difficult. Steph just rose to the occasion and better offense versus good D. But if they could get a little help there from deep where he's not creating as much havoc, which is getting guys like Gary Payton II open looks, Prost open looks. So I just like that spot. Improve variance on the Houston Rockets side, shooting-wise, offensively. Alperen to continue to produce, and then Steph Curry hopefully doesn't just go nuclear like Steph does. Now, fellas, listen to this trend, because I knew it was going to be good. I didn't think it would be this good. In all rounds of the playoffs since 2003, teams up 1-0 that are on the road for game 2. So they come in, they don't have home court, they go to someone else's gym and win game 1, and are, of course, on the road again for game 2. They are 22-78 straight up. That's 22%. They're 40, 59, and 1 ATS. That's 40.4%. And if you want to know anything about the total, 45, 52, and 3 shaded to the under. That's 46.4% in that spot. All rounds up 1-0 on the road, less than a 3-point dog or favored. 7-9 straight up and ATS. But that number really jumps off the screen for me. 22-78 straight up. It's almost like, hey, boys, business is done. We got game 1. Let's go ahead and get back to San Francisco. Meanwhile, it's the exact opposite dynamic in the other locker room. We're at home. We absolutely cannot drop both of these games in our building before we go to San Francisco to play Steph and the boys in their gym. I like Houston all day long here. I'll lay the 2.5. I'll lay the 3. Houston Rockets all day. BA, talk to me.
Yeah, a lot of trends on my Bet Labs light up on the Rockets side of things as well. I do not trust this team, so I'm going to not play Houston, but it's definitely a Houston or pass spot. It's not a Golden State spot. I think the only way that goes sideways, the last thing you're talking about is, you like to think Steph, Draymond, Butler, they don't want to put the mileage on. You'd like to think, go slam the door, go get this done in 4 games. Don't mess around, don't risk the injuries. But you'd like to think that. But then you'd like to think about, well, I've watched the Warriors for a decade. Do I actually think that? No, I really don't. So, yeah, I don't mind the Rockets play at all. Props here for me. I'm going a couple of unders. Draymond Green, under 6.5 rebounds. Last 2 playoff runs, he was at 7.1 rebounds a game. His previous 100 playoff games, he was at 10. He always had a big jump in rebounds in the postseason. He just can't get there anymore. It's the mileage and the size, and he's not actually a center, and it finally is adding up this year in the regular season, down to 6.1 rebounds a game, his lowest as a starter by more than 1 rebound a game for the most part. You're battling Şengün, you're battling Steven Adams, who had led the game, I think, in rebounds in 20 minutes. Now you're battling Amen Thompson, all that athleticism, all that energy. Draymond just, you can't, this is an age play as much as anything. You can't be Draymond forever. And he was great defensively, I think, in game 1, but you can't get the rebounds. You never really minded Draymond under. There's always the path where he just gets the eject button, and now you hit the under, or he gets in foul trouble early. He had 4 fouls last game, especially in this series with Dylan Brooks, with Steven Adams. There's always a possibility some fouls there. He had 4 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists in game 1 in 37 minutes. That's not new either. Against Houston this season, he had 3, 3, and 4 rebounds in the regular season. So he's averaging 5.4 a game. It's just not been a team that he's putting up big numbers against. Under this number, 57% of the season. I expect the minutes to be there, but they're only going to go down if any direction if the fouls do come or something, something stupid with Draymond. So I like the under there, under 6.5 rebounds. Freddie VanVleet, back to the points under. We played it in game 1. We wrote it pretty easy, under 14.5. He scores 10. He goes 4 of 19 in 40 minutes. Here's the crazy thing. 4 of 19 did not change his shot percentage against the Warriors on the season. He was 22% in 4 games. Now he's 22% in 5 games. That may not be variance anymore. In fact, is it possible? Look, he's another one. Age, size, he's not going to get any better at this stage of his career, just like Draymond. And now he's in a matchup where he's chasing dudes around all game. We know that Warriors offense is built different. Is he just getting worn down and there's nothing left to get those shots up? We're going front rim on these. That checks out to me. He's 5 games against the Warriors this season. His 10 was right in the middle. He's got an 11 and a 13 and an 8 and a 3. He's averaging 9 points a game despite playing over 37 minutes a game against the Warriors. So is that just fluky matchup over 5 games? Maybe, but it's not just game 1. His season average was the lowest of his career. He's under 14.5 in 56% on the season. And since the start of February, he's under that number, 12 of 17, 71%. You mentioned Jalen Green. That one I can buy more for variance. We know Jalen Green's kind of all over the place. I looked at his under. He dropped from 22.5 listed at game 1 to 17.5 in game 2. That's a huge drop. I can't play that under. I cannot recommend that under. That's way too big of a swing. His scoring's actually up since the break. Freddie is going to get the shots. So if you think they're going to fall, maybe you stay away from this one. In fact, I honestly don't mind, even if you play both of these. Freddie's 33-1 to be the threes leader in the series. 33-1. He hit 2. He took 13 threes. If you're going to get that sort of volume up, you could lead the series in threes. All it takes is Steph to go cold for a couple of games. I don't mind the 33-1. Probably don't play that with the points under here because they're pretty straight up contradictory. But I think if you're with Sean, if you like the Rockets here, I think that's a good angle too. The shots are going to be there. And if the Rockets start winning a few games, somebody had to hit some shots. May as well be Freddie's going to be out there. There are no other options here. I wanted to be Reed Shepherd, but he's watching these games from his couch somewhere. He might be the guy in the future. But for now, Freddie will play and Draymond will play, but I'll take the unders. So under on the points for VanVleet, under on the rebounds for Draymond.
Yeah, Steph, go cold starting tomorrow, baby. Do that. Do that for us. That would be great. VF, any comments on this game 2? Houston down 0-1 at the crib, hosting Curry, Butler in the game.
I think Houston should win this, but I'm not super convinced given what we know about their half court and fourth quarter offense against Golden State down the stretch. But I think like I'm not betting Golden State, and I want to bet Houston. I would like them to convince me a little bit more, but they should should win this. Um, I'm looking at I'm looking at Amen Thompson prop wise. This is one that I might play. We'll see. But his PRA is 25.5. And I kind of like that. I think if you're looking at Fred VanVleet under, for example, and if we're unsure about Jalen Green, I think Amen Thompson is worth looking at. I kind of think Houston needs to utilize him more, not just, from a scoring perspective, but also from a playmaking perspective. And obviously, he's always a threat to get double digit rebounds. He just is. So I think he should be more involved. His assist percentage was really high last game as well, or at least relative to Houston. So the playmaking there is underrated. And in terms of on the ball juice, like they're gonna have to do some things differently. And I think Amen Thompson could help when doing that. I'm not sure he's ready to take like this massive step on the ball yet in terms of his creativity. I think we're probably a little bit away from that. But for this series, I mean, I don't think this is a Fred VanVleet series. I don't think it's a great one for Jalen Green either. So you're kind of running out of options there if you're Houston. But I think we should see more Amen Thompson on the ball. So his PRA is 25.5. I don't hate it. That's something that I'm going to be looking at as it relates to this game, and I might play it.
All right, Brandon Anderson's got to go watch Manchester City try to stay in the top 4. So we got to run. My Arsenal boys, they got top 4 locked up, semi-final in the Champions League. But, Brandon's still trying to scrape and claw to stay in the top 4. So we got to run. To recap, Brandon Anderson, Magic team total under 93.5, minus 110, and the escalator that's going down as well. Davion Mitchell, over 6.5 dimes, plus 120. Miami Heat moneyline, plus 500. Draymond Green, under 6.5 boards, minus 115. Fred VanVleet, under 14.5 points, minus 120. Bryan Fonseca, Jarrett Allen, over 10.5 boards, minus 115. Tyler Herro, over 2.5 threes made at even money, plus 100. I'm on the Rockets, minus 2.5, minus 110. If there's no longer a 2.5 in the market, I would still play minus 3. For BA Brandon Anderson, for Bryan Fonseca, I am your host, Sean Little. Go download the Action Network app if you somehow have not downloaded already. Subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. These pods are always better on video. You get the visuals, you get the body language sometimes that differs from what people may say. The body says a lot. Go subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. Shout out to our guy DP who's on vacation. So our boy GG Gifford is holding it down. And until next time, which is tomorrow, let's get playoff buckets.